Charean Willams, of Pro Football Talk, just because I need to get what's going on in Dallas Cowboys country. But before that, I do have to say congratulations, Charean. I haven't had a chance to talk with you, but congratulations on the Hall of Fame induction and the award given to you, the Dick McCann Award for the reporting of a professional NFL team for as long as you have. So first of all, congratulations on that.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that.
And now to the tough questions. You ready here? What is Jason Witten thinking?
I'm ready.
What is he thinking? Well, coming back, obviously he was away for a year, but to come back now to this Cowboys team, and it to seem like Jerry Jones saying he knew this was in the mix for the last couple weeks. Kind of what ignited this flame for Jason Witten?
Well, I think things didn't work out exactly as planned with ESPN, so I'm sure that was part of his thinking. And then I think mostly he just missed the game, missed playing football. And somebody's going to pay you $3.5 million and up to $5 million to play 25 snaps a game, to play the game that you love and do what you love to do. Why not? Why not go try it again? So they're going to find out what kind of shape he's in. I talked to all the Cowboys officials here in Indy last night, and they'll find out what kind of shape he's in as the spring goes on. He obviously hasn't played in a year, hasn't been in football shape, hasn't kept in football shape. You just can't do that doing other things. And so it's going to take him a while to get up to speed. And, of course, he knows the playbook and all those sorts of things. But just getting back into game shape and football shape will be the biggest thing for him this spring. And then they'll assess where he is and see if he can help. The biggest thing may be him helping in the locker room from a leadership standpoint.
Yeah, it was Charean last year when this question was posed to Jason. It was, I'm not a Cowboy anymore. I'm now in, I'm in broadcasting. No, I won't be coming back. He kind of shut that door, and then all of a sudden that door opened again. Yeah. Was this possibly talked with Jason Garrett, this offseason about possibly returning? I'm just trying to figure out from a Cowboys perspective on why they would bring Jason Witten back, who will be 37 years old, I think, if he takes a snap this season.
Well, I do think leadership plays a big part in that, a big role in that. And they thought Dak and Zeke did a pretty good job in the leadership role last season, but they haven't played as long as Jason Witten has played. They have Sean Lee on the other side of the football, and they want to reduce his contract and bring him back for the same reason. And both of those guys likely won't be starters. I guess Jason could be a starter, but playing 25 snaps, you're certainly not a full-time starter in this league when you only play that percentage of the snaps, which is probably going to be somewhere like Antonio Gates, 36%, something like that of the snaps. But from a leadership standpoint, and they weren't that great at the tight end position either, and so I think they think he can help those young tight ends. Blake Jarwin came on obviously in that regular season finale against Philadelphia and played great, but that was one game. They need him to do it on a consistent basis over the long term, and so they think Jason can help those young tight ends develop.
You can reach her at NFL Charean on Twitter. Charean Willams, a Pro Football Talk and Hall of Famer. I like to throw that out there. But Charean, I need to figure this out. Could this signing, and this is my theory right here, Charean, you ready for it? Could this signing of Jason Witten, or coming out of retirement, could this have anything to do with the new offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, who will be, basically putting his stamp on this offense, no longer Scott Linehan there? But could people look at this signing as maybe another leader in the clubhouse for this team to lean on to get this offensive coordinator and Kellen Moore, another guy that he can kind of lean on to get everything out to the players?
Yeah, I think that's probably a part of it too. And I'll say this, they're probably going to lose Cole Beasley, who was kind of the safety net underneath on third down. And so Jason can be that guy possibly and take some of those snaps that Cole Beasley would have taken last year, and he's not going to be around anymore. I mean, they'd like to keep him, but you can't keep everybody. He's a free agent. He's probably going to get more money elsewhere, and they'll work Alan Hearns in there, but I think they still trust probably Witten more than they trust Hearns to go get open on some of those short routes on third down. And so I think that's a big part of it too. But you're right. He's played with Kellen. He knows Kellen can relay Kellen's message in the locker room, and I think that's important. and help those guys figure out what Kellen wants. So, yeah, I do think that's a big part of it. Now, I'll say this, too. I don't think that them signing Jason Witten, re-signing Jason Witten, will preclude them from drafting a tight end. I think it's still possible that they could draft a young tight end. And, again, it would be great for Witten to be able to develop those guys.
But, Charean, this is the business of the Dallas Cowboys as well. When I say business, they've got to make some decisions. Some contract extensions, some possible tags. Obviously, I'll start here on the defensive side because we know DeMarcus Lawrence, they got about 4 or 5 days to possibly have another designation of the franchise tag. How do you see this playing out with DeMarcus Lawrence again possibly being on the franchise tag in a couple of days? They have to make that designation.
Yeah, Tuesday afternoon is the date, and they want to try to get something done, and they haven't given up on getting that done. Now, it's obvious we're running out of time to see a deal done, but they gave him a first proposal. They're going to meet again later today, face-to-face, and hopefully they can bang something out over the next 2 or 3 days here in Indy and get something worked out so they don't have to use the franchise tag. If not, they'll use the franchise tag to buy them time to get a long-term deal done. But the goal for both sides is a long-term deal. It's not to use the franchise tag. It's to get a long-term deal done with him. They believe they can do that. I think it's going to be somewhere in the range, if you figure what the tag would pay him and all that, take all that into consideration, somewhere in the range of $20 million a year, which is, it's going to make him the highest paid 4-3 defensive end in football, which I think he's earned that.
But then you got 3 other names too, though, and it goes, I guess, falls in line of the pecking order of the Dallas Cowboys, because Dak Prescott, eligible for a contract extension. Ezekiel Elliott, eligible for a contract extension. Oh, and the guy that you gave up a first-round pick for in this year's draft, Amari Cooper, also eligible for a contract extension. Who gets the extension first, in your opinion, of the 3?
Well, and you have Byron Jones, too,
and
who's working on a fifth-year option.
Right.
And all 4 of those guys and if you can throw DeMarcus Lawrence in there, those 5 guys at their positions are going to be among the highest-paid players when it's all said and done, among the highest-paid players at their positions in the NFL. So they're going to have a lot of money going out here over the short term. This is, all these – they're not under pressure to do them because with Dak and Zeke, they have them under contract, obviously, for a little bit longer with 5 years options and franchise tags and all that they can use. But they want to get them done. They want to reward the players. They feel like they've done a good job and have bright futures for the Cowboys. Dak's is going to be complicated, but I would think that would be the one they would focus on trying to get done second. I think Byron Jones is probably, if you just look at the timing of it, 5th-year option, they need to get his done, obviously, before the year's out, so they don't go into next year having to use the franchise tag on him. I think he's probably the most pressing, but I think they would like to get Dak Prescott's done first, and then the others kind of fall in line. But I'm sure they're working on all 4 of those, so all 5 of those, counting DeMarcus Lawrence, will be done first, hopefully, but working on all of those at the same time. But, they're all complicated. But I would say Dax is the most complicated to get done, and one I know that they would like to see done before the season starts.
At Pro Football Talk, Charean Williams joining the Rich Eisen show, Kirk Morrison filling in for Rich. And you've mentioned it a couple times, that the delicate, complicated process of signing Dak Prescott. What makes it so difficult? What makes that signing? Is it the number of years? Is it how they truly feel about him? Or is it with the numbers of what the starting quarterbacks are making in today's NFL? Does he fall in line with some of those numbers that we seem to think are, already pretty outrageous?
Yeah, and I think that's exactly it. I think that's when you look at it and what he's done, it's like, where does he fit into that? Because you do have some quarterbacks up there who you think, okay, he's probably better than they are, but then, he hasn't done as much as Aaron Rodgers. He has Tom Brady, of course, has given the Patriots a discount, which has been very underappreciated probably outside of the Patriots organization for what he's given to that club to allow them to do things with the salary cap because the salary is so low. So I don't know that you compare him to him, and Dak has said that. But, just where does he fit into that? How much has he done? What kind of future does he have? What kind of quarterback is he truly going to be? And how much is he worth? you know, as you pointed out, I mean, the going rate for quarterbacks, the market is probably going to pay him more than people are going to think. I think it's going to be toward $30 million. I don't know if he'll get over $30 million, but I think it's going to be upwards of $20 million toward $30 million at least when that thing's done, with a lot of guaranteed money. And that's just what the market is and what it pays. And it's certainly going to affect the Cowboys' salary cap. They've been in such good shape over the last couple of years with not having to pay a quarterback that big money, and now they're getting to pay. As I said, all 5 of these guys are going to be among the highest paid players at their positions when it's all said and done over the next however many months it's going to take to get all these deals done. And that's just going to take a big piece out of your salary cap, and they're going to have to go cheap on some other things. Yeah,
but we talk about the players so much, and you mentioned those 5 guys who I've got circled here, but we all love job security, right, Charean? I think that's no matter what profession you're in. So when I look at the head coach and Jason Garrett, who does not have an extension on the table, who's going into the last year of his contract, how are people in Dallas looking at this year for Jason Garrett? Is there a number, or in terms of wins? Is there a place, whether they get to the Super Bowl, a conference championship? What would be, I would say, the right amount of success for him to keep his job after this season?
Yeah, and it's a great question. And I think it is taking that next step, and that next step obviously is get to a championship game, and something they haven't done since 1995, which was their last Super Bowl season. And there's very few teams. I think Washington and Detroit are the only 2 teams that have gone that long or longer without getting to a championship game in the NFC. And so they certainly would hope to do that and think they have the team to do that, or building the team to do that. But I do think he has to take that next step. I don't think he can do what he did in 2014 when he was a so to speak, lame duck coach and went in the last year of his contract, and they won the division, and they lost in the divisional round to Green Bay on the Des Bryant no-catch game. Right. I think he's got to do more than that. I think he has to take that next step to keep his job.
Yeah. I know that's always one of the difficult things of a player going into a year in which a coach may not be there the following year. So when I look at this draft for the Cowboys, which they don't have a first-round pick because of the Amari Cooper deal, what do they do in the draft? You mentioned we've already talked about the players who they've got to sign and figure out what they're going to do for the future. But how do you even look at a Cowboys draft right now? What's the glaring need that they can possibly draft upcoming for the 2019 draft?
Well, I think the very first thing you look at, and they would tell you the same thing because I've asked them the same question this week, is defensive line. Mm-hmm. And that's because of David Irving. They're going to let him walk away. Obviously, the problems he's had, now facing another suspension, and then the suspension of Brandon Gregory. Now, they hope Gregory comes back, and there's a chance he comes back. He's suspended indefinitely, so they're hoping he comes back. But you can't count on it. Right. Because when you're suspended indefinitely, there's no timetable there. You don't know when he's going to be back. So they've got a plan for not having him, and if they do, it's going to be a bonus. But I think they have to get better at the defensive line. They have to draft defensive linemen, and then obviously I think an upgrade at safety is needed. They are not going to go after Earl Thomas. He wants too much money unless he would come down on what he wants and doesn't get the offer he thinks he's going to get. But I think everybody expects him to become the highest paid safety in football, somebody to pay him that, and it's not going to be Dallas. So if he gets the offer that he thinks he's going to get, then he's going to go elsewhere, and that creates, to me, a need for them at the safety position in the draft. And I'd also think you'd look at like I said, tight end. I don't think Witten's return precludes that. It does help them in that. They don't have to. That's not just a pressing need, but I think they would look that direction. And backup running back is an obvious one they need too. And a guy like Charean Williams from Texas A&M, maybe somebody you get later that could help you as the backup running back.
Well, as you say, Charean Williams, I do have another TV on here in the studio that I can't wait for him to run the 40. So I will keep my eye on Charean Williams as well. But Charean, thank you for the time. Always a pleasure to have you on. And there's never a dull moment in Dallas, right?
No, there's not. Thank you, Kurt, for having me.
All right, thank you. That's Charean Williams. You can follow her on Twitter at NFL Charean of Pro Football Talk, covering the NFL for 24 seasons.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.